Hey guys, welcome back to Daska Discusses. Today I'm going to give you guys a spoiler-free review on the 2019 hit Knives Out. Let's do this. Now, Knives Out came out about late in 2019, directed by Rian Johnson, who, well, also directed Looper and, let's not forget, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Yeah, well, he did that one. And you know, like I saw the ad for this and I saw the post and it's like, you know, a Rian Johnson Whodunnit. And it's like, okay, murder mystery, you know, what actually happens here? Let's check it out. And I must say, I was pretty impressed by this. Now remember, this is a spoiler-free review, so yeah, obviously I'm not going to spoil it because, you know, a movie like this, it's actually worth not knowing much about, you know, too much of the story because obviously it gives it all away. It's a murder mystery. So, how do we all begin this? Well, you've got a pretty big ensemble cast here of some major celebrities. Let's go through the list, shall we? Starting from the top, you've got Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Lakeith Stanfield, Christopher Plummer, Catherine Langford, Jaden Martell, Ricky Lindholm, Ed Patterson, and even Frank Oz, the voice of Yoda, is in this. When I saw him, I'm like, what? What's he doing here? But yeah, obviously he's not playing Yoda. Lol. The whole film basically goes around this. It's all about a kind of quite eccentric family who the patriarch, you know, the main guy, Christopher Plummer, you know, the grandfather, the father of all these people, dies. Okay, he's murdered or he dies, etc. And a detective's called in to, well, obviously, you know, investigate what actually happened. So the detective in this is Daniel Craig, and he plays a really good role. He's got this kind of weird kind of southern kind of American accent, which at the start of the film I'm like, I don't really buy this too much. It was kind of like, well, let me tell you now, I'm gonna investigate this to the finest degree. And in a way I'm like, I don't buy it, but then halfway through the film you're like, you know what? Daniel Craig actually does a really good job. The other celebrity cameos in this, like Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, Toni Collette, Catherine Langford, you know, Jaden Martell, Ricky Lindholm, Eddie Patterson, do play some kind of roles in this. And what's interesting is in the film, the detective comes in, you know, we're given this kind of premise where the, you know, Christopher Plummer, his character, the patriarch of the family, dies, and the detective comes in, he has to interview all of them one by one. What I really liked about the film was that it's really well paced and you can enjoy it. It's just something you can put on and you'll enjoy it from start to finish if you like these kind of murder mysteries. What I found in the past of these murder mysteries is that some of them are quite, not dark, but you know, a bit too serious, whereas Knives Out's more of a, not saying it's a comedy, but you do have a few laughs along the way, but the way it's paced, the way the acting is, it's quite enjoyable, and you, well, the audience itself are sitting there thinking, okay, cool, well, let me try and work this out for myself. The key actors in this that I think really put on a really good performance are obviously Daniel Craig. Chris Evans plays the grandson of Christopher Plummer. Ana de Armas plays, you know, the nurse of Christopher Plummer's character as well. And Christopher Plummer himself, who plays Harlan Thrombey as well. Those 4 characters really, those 4 actors, should I say, played a really integral role, and you can tell that, you know, obviously they've got more screen time than the rest, but they all really work well together. But those, especially those 3, Evans, Ana de Armas, and Daniel Craig, really do put on a show. The pacing in the film is fine, you know, from start to finish you're really wondering what's going to happen. The soundtrack does a really good job in it as well, but what I really liked was the cinematography in this, and I can't remember if it got nominated for Best Cinematography, maybe it did, I can't remember, but the use of mise-en-scène, as my students would know as well, what mise-en-scène is, it's what the director puts into the frame, and it's really shot really well. The cinematography is gorgeous, but the use of like the different camera angles and how they go about that, the movement, but also the set design. And you know, you got to keep an eye out on a lot of things in the set because certain props and certain positionings of paintings, and especially, you know, you've seen it in the trailer or in the poster, that whole mural of all the knives as well. When they've got every person who the detective is like speaking to them and they're sitting in front of it or next to it, and all the knives are pointing towards them. Really great use of mise-en-scène there, I must say, myself. All that does a really good job in putting you into the film and into this house and into the detective's shoes. Now, the parts that not that I didn't like, but I felt that probably halfway through the film when some major plot points happen, there's a good 10-15 minute part where the film does slow down a tad, but just about in every film, you can't have peak all the time. It's following that narrative structure which goes well. It kind of like peaks up at the start and then goes, kind of plateaus a bit and then halfway through the film there is about a 10-15 minute gap where it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? And then boom, again, you're thrown back into it for the last act of the film where anything can happen, and you're like, oh my, they're going to go down that path, and then it's like, no, you're not, we're going to go down this path, and then that path, and it kind of keeps changing, which is great for an audience member because you're like, there's a few jaw-dropping moments, and especially, obviously, the ending as well, where you're like, you have got to be joking. So, you know, I've seen the last couple of films, I've seen, you know, Parasite, and this as well. Parasite had that really whacked out ending as well, but this, you know, it's a bit more light-hearted than Parasite. But put it this way, I recommend Knives Out, definitely, if you're into just something you just want to see all these, you know, celebrity cameos and celebrities do their job all together as an ensemble and do a good job and actually be entertained at the same time. I really trying to find things that I didn't like about Knives Out, and the only thing I could find was probably just that little plateau in the middle of the film, and possibly maybe like some of the other sub-characters in the film not being used as much as I thought they would have. So I'm going to give Knives Out a solid 8.5 out of 10. And to finalize, guys, put it this way, you'll enjoy the film if you're into this kind of, if you're into this genre, but even if you're not, you want something lighthearted that's there that you could, you know, use your brain to kind of like solve things. And also, like myself, if you're into like playing Cluedo, the board game, it's pretty much, and they say it in the film, the whole movie is based like that. It's kind of like you're playing Cluedo, and I'm a huge fan of Cluedo as well. So yeah, if you would like playing that board game, I suggest you check it out. And that wraps up my spoiler-free review of Knives Out, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you liked the video. Comment and let me know what you thought of Knives Out as well in the comments below. And obviously, if you want to stay up to date with my film, with my uploads, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Daska Discusses. Boom!